Hello, every pony. Prince Alagona of Aquilonia here, and first off, a small update. I can't do shit with watching new episodes right now because that problem with my remote, it's irredeemable. I need to get a completely brand new remote. I can't do anything with it except raise the volume or change the channel. I can't enter any menus. I can't play any recorded shows. I can't do anything with it. So I'm just going to have to wait till after the season's done and try to find a torrent of all the episodes or buy them off of the Amazon store or iTunes and just watch them on the computer. Anyways, I still want to do content though, so I can make up for my laziness the past like 6 months, which is why I've done some gaming videos, and it's also why I'm doing what I'm doing today, and that's doing some follow-ups to my Creepypasta videos. And the first one is we are going to discuss some more overrated pastas. Creepypastas are so big with so many stories commanding respect that it makes sense that there's quite a few of them demanding perhaps a little more respect than they actually deserve. Here are 5 more pastas that should have made my overrated list but just missed out. Number 5 is Laughing Jack. Snuff Bomb is a good writer that suffers from 2 fatal flaws. The first is an over-reliance on gore for shock. He's not the only one, of course. A lot of professional writers confuse fear with disgust. But these are 2 very distinct emotions, though. Fear comes from a sense of dread, a sense of impending, inescapable doom. It's generated through atmosphere and pacing. Disgust is created by insulting sensibilities. It's created by seeing or hearing or feeling things that make you feel uncomfortable, that you're mentally unable to properly process, or otherwise attack your refined senses in a visceral, gut-level way. But the other, more important flaw is he has trouble showing motivation for his villains. That's a problem that plagued this story very badly. We don't learn anything about Jack, really. We learn what he does and what he's capable of, but we don't learn anything about who he is as a character. And even in the origin story, while we learn about Jack, finally, his original owner suffers from the same lack of motivation. And Snuff Bomb has the potential to be a grade A creepypasta writer, but until he fixes this particular flaw of his, he's only ever going to be a C or B level writer. Number 4, Rainbow Factory. Remember what I said last time. Overrated is not the same thing as bad. I love Rainbow Factory. It's one of my favorite Grimdark fics. It creates an interesting AU with its own unique history to explore. Scootaloo is great throughout, and RD losing her shit is downright nightmare fuel. She's truly unstoppable. Like, She doesn't even care about the other workers. She'll fly so fast her wings cut ponies apart. How do you manage that? You can't. She is just a killing machine. And it creates its scares through an incredibly tense atmosphere. It builds and builds and builds through to that wild finish. It has some gore in it, yes. Certainly a lot of references to blood, too. But it doesn't lean on the gore for the scares. It relies instead on tension, which is what a proper horror story should rely on. But it's not without problems. Namely, that Aurora Dawn, first of all, doesn't do much with her own OC to make us care about her, like at all. And second, doesn't do a good enough job establishing just how close Scootaloo and Orion are. That confession seems to come out of nowhere because it's not been hinted at well enough that either is crushing on the other. We can see that they're very close friends, but there's no sense of romantic tension between the two. Pegasus Device, I feel, is a much better story. But I will still always recommend Rainbow Factory. Its problems aren't enough to detract from it being one of the highest quality products in the MLP Grimdark community. It rightly deserves its reputation, but it's not as clean or unflawed as it's sometimes presented as. Number 3, 1999. 1999 is another really good story. In fact, it's one of the more believable creepypastas out there. The writing is, in terms of the grammar and punctuation and style, is very much up to snuff. Elliot is a very nice protagonist, and Mr. Bear makes a very good looming presence kind of villain. Like, we never really learn a whole lot about him. We know enough to understand his motivations. We certainly know enough to know what he did and know how horrible it was. But he's always kind of lurking in the background. He's not really defined as a person, but he's defined as this thing that seems to just keep creeping up. The fact that it's told as a blog that's still being updated also helps lend it validity. But here's its flaws. Here's its main flaw, actually. It's long as an 80-year-old grandma's tits. And it has excruciatingly long moments where it's just tediously slow. I still enjoy it, though. If you like your pastas to maintain an air of credibility, this one is for you. But just realize that, kind of like with NES Godzilla, there's stretches in the story that are gonna feel a little bit too slow and a little bit too monotonous. If you can make it through that, though, it's still very much worth a read. Number 2 is The Puppeteer. This guy keeps showing up in story after story after story. But we never, I mean never, learn anything about him. Who is he? Why is he manipulating people? We just don't know. But yet, He's incredibly popular for seemingly no reason. Explain to me the appeal of this guy. Also, he knows how to bend and shape people to do what he wants while making them feel as though they're doing what they want. That's nice. That's kind of interesting that he can do that. But who is he? Why do we care about him? If you can explain that to me, I would be very grateful, because I can't figure it out at all. And number one is, okay, to all the little fangirls and fanboys out there, here's a little warning. You ain't gonna like me for this. Bring it on, bitches. Number one is Jeff the Killer. The only reason Jeff didn't make the original list is because the picture still gives me nightmares. And because of primacy. It was the first true creepypasta I read, if you don't count those eerie chainmails we all used to get. And because of that, and because I still feel that for all the flaws in this story, it's still possible to create an interesting story with him, like the Jane versus Jeff story, that it still holds a special place in my heart. But by God, golly, bullshit, Jesus, does the story fucking suck! I'm not going to argue with the psychology. I used to be a bully kid that used to plan bad things for my tormentors myself. I understand what that feels like. Fact is that bullying and abuse creates damaged people. But Jeff never really was even bullied. Like Hoodoo Hoodlum's Revenge has pointed out a number of times before, he was mugged once. Then he was injured in a revenge attack for fighting back. That's not enough to count as bullying. That's barely enough to count as a trauma in general. The thugs that attacked him are as stock of stock villains as you can possibly get, complete with cheesy dialogue, lack of motivation, completely, utterly just bullshit craziness. It's like reading, they're like reading a Golden Age comic book. A subpar Golden Age comic book. Where did they get guns in a rich neighborhood? And they're fucking 12 years old! Jeff is older than them by a full year. And yet we're supposed to take these snot-nosed brats fucking seriously. What the hell? Jeff was a normal kid prior to the first fight. So why does he suddenly get a sadistic urge to hurt people at that time? Don't claim Jeff is a... Okay, this one's important. I want everyone to listen to this. Do not claim Jeff is a psychopath. Psychopathy is the version of antisocial personality disorder that you're born with, as opposed to sociopathy, which you develop from trauma. And what it is a pathological lack of empathy. You're still mentally able to process right and wrong, but emotionally you're unable to feel the difference. It makes you self-absorbed, since the only thing you can really feel love or compassion for on a true and deep level is yourself. Any relationships you develop tend to be shallow and you only keep around for self-serving purposes. Those people tend to make you feel good to be around, or more importantly, add some kind of material benefit to your life, so you tolerate that their presence. That's about it. But it's clear Jeff feels empathy and has a deep love for Lou, which is why he fights back in the first place. Why don't Jeff and Lou claim self-defense? Why does Lou feel it better to sacrifice himself to an American juvenile justice system? They ain't much fucking better than the adult one. Oh my god. Bleach doesn't work that way! Birds don't work that way! What the fuck even is this shit? Where did Jeff's nose go? If it burned off, there would be a hole in his fucking face. Scar tissue would not grow over that. Why does the doctor ignore Jeff's mom's concerns? What is it with incompetent doctors in creepypastas? First you have this, then you have the utter mind-numbing stupidity of the doctors in Eyeless Jack. Nice work making yourself look like Conrad Veidt there, kid. But did you rinse your face with alcohol after that? No? Then enjoy the feeling of gangrene. Oh god, this one. Burning your eyelids off wouldn't work like that. First, you would instantly go blind from the dust in your eyes. Second, you would at least singe your fucking eyeballs. Holy shit, creepypasta authors. Stop with the fucking eye trauma if you don't know shit about how eyes work. Jeff's parents are the worst fucking parents in the world, and they're responsible for all the other horrible parents in creepypastas. And lastly, why does Jeff kill Lou? The whole thing started because of Lou. Jeff fights Randy and the other kids because he loves Lou. Is this supposed to be to show just how far down the rabbit hole Jeff has gone? Because I don't know. I think carving your fucking lips off to make a permanent smile and burning your eyelids would be clear enough. As if killing the parents wasn't. This story is fucking retarded. And I'm a retard for not giving up hope on this character. Oh my fucking god. We are done with this shit.